I wanted to start by just simply saying that, beyond Kingston, we know that the broader region is watching what we're doing here with the Fast Ferry program. We've got folks from Jefferson County. In fact, Tammy, thank you for being here. She runs the Jefferson Transit system. That have been exploring the possibility of passenger only. We've got folks in Tacoma that are exploring passenger only ferry service from Tacoma. I think it's mainly because we're all very concerned about the highways that we have, and we really don't have a lot of additional room to build more lanes. So we've got the benefit of free right-of-way in the Puget Sound to be able to take advantage of it. And this is an example of being able to do that. So I certainly, just as a parting comment, invite all the others who are interested to work with us, because one of the biggest areas of concern, shall we say, is docking in Seattle. And we're not going to have enough dock space for all of the routes that are either going to be operating from or plan to operate from. So we're starting, and Josh, thank you very much for your leadership at the Puget Sound Regional Council. Josh is helping us organize kind of a planning effort to start really looking for a long-term facility. I'd also like to recognize the King County Marine Division. Ron Panzero's in the back there. Ron, thank you. King County has been a great partner to work with. Certainly we have to coordinate our schedules with each other so that we're taking advantage of that limited resource called a dock in Seattle, and they've been absolutely great to work with. I would also like to acknowledge all of the folks here. I mean, there's way too many folks to be able to acknowledge everybody individually. I would like to at first recognize my board down here in the first row. Thank you for your support and your leadership that's got us to today. That, I think, is critical, so thank you. I also would like to acknowledge, thank you. I would also like to acknowledge just a couple of folks in the audience that have been very supportive of this effort. Amy Scarton, Washington State Ferries. I've been giving Amy a, thank you. Amy's been absolutely wonderful to work with. She's helped us get access over here with our buses to the ferry terminal, and I've been kidding her about her being a rock star in Kingston, and I believe that. So, also Linda Gerke from the Federal Transit Administration is here. She's our district administrator, and she's been just wonderful to work with as well. And this has been some challenging efforts to pull all this stuff together, both to get the service up and running, as well as getting federal funds to help us with some of the dock improvements and things. Former Congressman Norm Dix, certainly like to recognize you. Norm has been a great supporter of passenger ferry programs in the Puget Sound. I know he's been working for years on helping us get this program going, and he continues to help us every day with the issues that go on back in Washington, D.C. And I know it was with Norm's help and Senator Murray's help that we were able to get the funding years ago to be able to study Rich Passage for more than a decade and the wake impacts, as well as the development of the experimental vessel, the Rich Passage 1, that we were able to use and demonstrate that we can operate through Rich Passage without having damage to the beaches. I also want to recognize the Port of Kingston commissioners here and their staff. They've been absolutely wonderful to work with and pulling this together. It's been a great partnership of getting this float put together and all the improvements that they've been spearheading. You'll see some of it as we go across the transfer span down there. They've refurbished that, and it's absolutely beautiful. So. I guess really that's all right now. There's, like I said, there's just so many folks that we should be acknowledging and thanking, from the folks that helped us build the boat, Nichols Brothers, to the folks in our state delegation, Senator Rolfus and Senator Angel, to mention a couple, Representative Appleton as well. She did a great job for helping us. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut my remarks short, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Rob Gelder, who is the North Kitsap County Commissioner and also is the chair of the Kitsap Transit Board.
Good morning. This is the best looking crowd I've seen in a long time. And did you get the memo that this is Kitsap Transit Apparel Day, so you want to make sure that you dress accordingly? You didn't? Well, you've got to pin anyway. That's good. So as John mentioned, I have the honor of not only serving as your county commissioner for North Kitsap, but also to currently serve as the chair of Kitsap Transit. As commissioner, two things are always top of my mind when it comes to Kingston and North Kitsap, and that's economic vitality and quality of life. And no community is fully contained within itself, but rather its economy is intrinsically tied to the communities and the region in which it's a part. So imagine right now, if you park at the George's Corner Park and Ride, and you want to get to downtown Seattle via the Bainbridge Ferry, you spend about 50 minutes on the 91 to the Bainbridge Ferry Terminal and approximately a 35-minute crossing, giving you a total of about 85 minutes just one way. So now imagine, in just a matter of days, you can leave your car at George's Corner Park and Ride, catch the new 307 Express coming from Polsbo to the Kingston Ferry Terminal, and board the finest for a 39-minute crossing. So they say time is money, but that gift of time also has a direct connection to regaining some quality of life. And how would you rather spend your time? With your spouse? With your children? Volunteering in our community? All the possibilities are endless. And that same service, which takes you to Seattle, will also bring others here to explore all that Kingston and North Kitsap has to offer. The fast ferry service is a game changer, in my opinion. When you look at the economic advantage that Bainbridge Island has had because of its short connection to Seattle, we will be experiencing a leveling of that playing field with a new direct connection between Kingston and Seattle. Now, I want to also give my thanks because this service wouldn't be possible without the people of Kitsap County. This is your fast ferry service. And there's another word that sort of pops into my mind, and that's a word of rebirth. I had the pleasure of seeing the finest back in New Jersey when we were considering the acquisition of the boat for this service. And it is not only a vessel that has been reborn. You can see some on the video that there, as well as on board, the transformation from what that vessel was to what it is today and into the future. So for all intents and purposes, we have a brand new vessel, the finest vessel, serving Kingston to Seattle. So I'm going to leave you with just one thought. In life, change is the only constant. Now, the Kingston Fast Ferry Service and the finest will usher in new changes as its bow crosses and cuts through the waters of Puget Sound. And may it always experience fair winds and following seas. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. It's my pleasure to be able to introduce our next speaker, Congressman Kilmer. Congressman has taken over the seat from Norm when Norm decided to retire and has been doing a fantastic job. But beyond that, I would also add that I've known Derek when he was in the legislature initially, and have known him for many, many years and worked with him. And he is truly a strong, strong supporter of Kitsap Transit, Kitsap Transit's Fast Ferry program, Kitsap County, and it's my great pleasure to be able to introduce Congressman Derek Kilmer.
Thanks, everybody. So who here is excited to get on this ferry? Anybody? All right. I'm excited too. I was concerned though when John said to me, he said, we're going to take a 3-hour tour. And then he said it again, a 3-hour tour. And I thought, I'm concerned now. I was given 2 directions by John with regard to my remarks this morning. He said, first, be brief, and second, be inspiring. And I know these days when you think of brevity and inspiration, you think Congress. I told him I've cut 30 minutes out of my remarks, so just sit back and enjoy the next 35 minutes. Oh, he said 3 to 5 minutes. Sorry. Listen, this is a big day for Kingston. It's a big day for Kitsap County, and it's hard not to think for a second about how a project like this links us to our past. I want you to think back to a time in our region before you had cars, before we had traffic. That's kind of a nice memory. You had ferries, and we had a swarm of them, with propeller steamers connecting our region to Seattle and including the rest of the Kitsap Peninsula. There were so many of them that they were known as the Mosquito Fleet, which coincidentally is also what they refer to any 3 cars carrying members of Congress. But this Mosquito Fleet meant new jobs and new economic opportunities and new ways to share ideas and to do business. And that Mosquito Fleet came to embody our own highway on the waters. And I was thinking of that past as I thought about today and how those historical ties to our waters have been so central to who we are as Washingtonians. In fact, if you look at the initial seal of our state, which is in the State History Museum, it shows a city with a forest and a log cabin on one side of the seal. But on the other side, it shows a sheet of water being traversed by a sailing vessel and by a steamer. And then in the middle, it has an anchor and the goddess of hope. And she's pointing to a word, Alki, which was a Chinook word, which is now our state motto, most commonly translated into by and by. But the other translation for Alki is hope for the future. So it's hard not to think about that today, because while an investment like this links us to our past, it also provides tremendous hope for the future, hope that we strengthen our ties to a growing regional economy, hope that we will connect more people to jobs and to healthcare and to government offices and to services, hope that we will spend less time stuck in traffic, staring at speed limit signs that sometimes seem like they're only there for nostalgic purposes. Hope that we can continue to come up with new ideas that turn into new businesses and new jobs, and hope that because projects like this demonstrate what we are capable of when all of our oars are in the water rowing in the same direction. So I want to thank and congratulate the folks at Kitsap Transit, the people of Kingston and Kitsap County, and all of the leaders here who had their oars in the water to get this done and make this happen. I'm excited about the future, and I can't wait to check out this ferry. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. Well, you talk about timing. I mentioned that my public information officer, Sanjay Bhatt over here, has been working tirelessly for hours and hours, has us down to the second, and this is a good demonstration. So thank you. Once again, I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker. And I don't know what I can say that we probably already don't know about our governor. He's one of the best governors, I think, that we've had in Olympia in decades, and he's doing a fantastic job leading our state and our community. He's been, like Congressman Kilmer, he's been a strong supporter of our efforts at Kitsap Transit as well as our ferries. The governor was able to come to our launching of the Bremerton Fast Ferry just over a year ago and help us celebrate that. And he's graciously come again to help us with the next phase, which is the start of the Kingston. So with that, I'd love to introduce Governor Jay Inslee. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, John. Thanks for your leadership. You know, when you wake up on a Sunday morning and you realize something's happened that you've wanted to see happen for decades, and you realize it's not just a dream, that's a good morning. And we know that ferries, bridges are monuments to optimism. And today we're launching another monument to optimism, the Kingston Fast Ferry to Seattle. And I'm excited about this. I'm really excited about this for multiple reasons. One, this is like Back to the Future. It's going back to the future, the days when Chief Sealth had his canoe between the Duwamish and the Suquamish people and helped bring peace to this region across the waters. This is back to the future, the days of the canoes. And it's back to the future, the days of the mosquito fleet. There's nothing happier than to see the vision of the Virginia 5 and the mosquito fleet have a rebirth in the waters of Puget Sound. And that's what we're doing today, because we're realizing this is a conduit of connecting people across Puget Sound. So the days of the mosquito fleet are coming back to Puget Sound with new technology in this regard. And to me, it's personally satisfying, because when we passed the Connecting Washington package in 2015, we did a lot of things. We did things for Southeast Washington connecting I-82. We did things for the 405 corridor. But we knew the best thing we did in the whole state of Washington is get ready to have fast ferries from Kingston to Seattle. Best idea we had in the Connecting Washington package. So for a lot of reasons, this is personally exciting to me. It's another step forward. When we launched the Rich Passage 1 for Bremerton, it was a first step. This is a second step. We have more steps to come with the southwest leg. So you can't overstate what this means to me personally and what it means for the state of Washington in this vote of confidence, because this was a decision by voters in Kitsap County. How about a round of applause for those visionaries who voted for this in Kitsap County? Now we have some local leadership here too, with John's leadership and Dick Hayes, Patty Murray, Norm Dix, Representative Kilmer. There's been a great team working on this for a long time in the maritime trades. This is a jobs program here too. We're putting people to work on the water. That's something that is exciting to me, having the maritime trades moving forward. So congratulations to everybody, what you've done. I have one thing to say as governor of the state of Washington: fair winds and following seas. Good luck to everybody. Have a good voyage.
You know, Governor, I don't know that if you remember or not, but when you were helping us with the Bremerton kickoff and we went down to the Rich Passage and you looked at it, you told me at that point, do you have a screw or something to this boat because you like passenger ferries? Unfortunately, we didn't then, but we do have a piece of the hull of the finest that's been replaced, and we have a little plaque on here that MV Finest Hull presented to Governor Jay Inslee, the Kingston Fast Ferry
All right,
program.
thank you so much. Thank you very much. This has been replaced, right?
It has, yes.
Make sure they know that's been replaced.
Yeah, that's former Hall. He wanted me to let you know that it's been replaced. Yeah. Okay, there's just a couple other folks that I would like to recognize since we've got just a couple minutes here. And the governor mentioned Dick Hayes up here in the front row. Dick was the former executive director of Kitsap Transit and did so much to get the passenger ferry program going in Kitsap County, and all the work that he left me to do. So thank you, Dick. I would also like to acknowledge my staff who has been absolutely superb. Sanjay, I mentioned him a couple times, but it really has been such a huge team effort. We've got Daryl Bryant. I know Daryl's around here somewhere. Daryl, there you are. Daryl has a bit of history in that Daryl was part of the private sector group that started the Aqua Express, which got us started into this program back in, Sonny, what you tell me, 79 was it? Maybe it was 97, one of the two. But it's been a long, long effort to get this program going. And then I'd also like to acknowledge one of our staff, Jen Cook. She's in the back of the room back there. Jen was like our project manager for the refurbishment of the Finest, and trust me, she knows that boat from every weld and every doorknob. She's been living with that boat since we first acquired it in New York, and she was with it, not literally, but she was waiting for it to show up when we had it shipped out here, and she's been with it through the entire refurbishment. She's also the narrator of our video over here on the refurbishment, and I understand she's going to be available for autographs on the Finest a little bit later. So thank you, Jen. So with that, I would like to invite you all down to the Finest. We're going to have a bit of a ribbon cutting. We've asked the governor and Congressman Kilmer to help us with the ribbon cutting, and then we'll be able to go down and get on the boat.